Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Friday, June 3rd, 2016. Here in the Lynn-Life, we have that same aspect of Dunbar. In the Jamie Body Mind, the same aspect of Glenn. Both of these presences have been here for 4 or 5 days now.
That's true.
We're going to work with the foundational assignments, which are to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions to manifest the divine plan, the particulars for the search for truth community being to upgrade the standards of integrity to that which will actually work to manifest the divine plan and to maintain a space through which multidimensional effort is possible. We call it Search for Truth Space. To reestablish Search for Truth Space is an important part of the assignment at this particular stage of the process. With that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. I notice how much resistance I have to running the razor screens. I don't want to let go of certain connections that I can see are horizontal connections or diagonal connections, and I can see that the razor screens are getting ready to cut them. And so I'm faced with this interesting dilemma of integrity, that I know that this is the assignment, and yet that means I have to let go of that connection that I myself like. And I see how I want to impose this idea on us as a community, but make exceptions for myself.
I feel that way too.
Right.
That's true.
Well, how about this? Let's bifurcate for all those who really want to know what's actually going on and see if those presences on the other end of those connections, if they move toward the Search for Truth Central Axis, because we haven't bifurcated in the last hour.
That's true.
Which is funny because that's not a very long time. Let's bifurcate and see if it makes a difference. All those who really want to know what's actually going on to the Search for Truth Central Axis, all others flung away. And what are we doing? A voice is asking. We're activating the law of attraction and repulsion. We're just zooming vibrations up and down the central axis that are vibrations of wanting to know what's really going on and forming actually intensely curious vibrations. To become intensely curious. What is really going on here for ourselves, for our surroundings, for our experiences of sentience, but not only unidimensionally, multidimensionally as well. What's actually going on? Those people don't want to know what's really going on.
No,
they're pulling away, kind of like, no. Now we have the dilemma of coming to see that people we care about don't really want to know what's actually going on. And what does one do in such a situation? And it's really obvious what integrity would do. And so to ask ourselves, what would integrity do? Are we ready? And I'm still not ready to run the razor screens. I started to ask, are we ready to run the razor screens? But the answer was so clearly no.
That's true.
That's a no-go. All right. What now? In order to upgrade the standards of integrity to that which will actually work to manifest the divine plan. What now? What we can do is start to shave our channels. I notice that I'm ready to do that. I'm willing to shave the exterior channels off, keeping them in the Search for Truth pillar. What would that indicate? That would indicate more superficial connections. I'm willing to let go of people I don't care about as deeply, perhaps. That might be what that means. Start where we are, use what we have, do what we can, don't get hung up on what we aren't yet willing to do. Do what we're willing to do something, get started. And what else we could do is find our levels of integrity, whatever they are, just find them structurally and begin to tune them in such a way as to increase the quality and quantity of integrity. And somebody is asking, what do I mean by that? What do you mean? How is integrity defined? Resolve to do the right thing. We find our resolve to do the right thing, whatever it is, the level of resolve we currently have to do the right thing, and increase it in both quantity and quality, so that we have more resolve to do the right thing and to be even more precise in our definitions of what it means to do the right thing. So quite clearly it's wrong to hang on to these relationships that pull our channels out.
That's true.
Let's just try separating those cords. Maybe instead of cutting them, we do an energy callback. My energy to me, yours to you. My energy to me, yours to you. Those people don't seem broken-hearted that the connection is gone. They don't seem to be running back my way. I see that.
True. That helps.
That helps. All right, well, let's continue the callback. My energy to me, your energy to you. You know what it reminds me of is in the movie The Truman Show, at the very end when the watchers just change channels and start watching something else.
That's true.
I was willing to, what was I willing to do?
Distort my energy body.
I was willing to distort my energy body and not be a person of integrity for those people. And as soon as we dissolve the connection, they just say, oh well, next.
What else is on?
That makes it easier. Let's see if we can start running some razor screens now. And you know what the bugs here show? They heavily pesticide Erfur Park.
They're spraying poison over land they say they're protecting.
Well, there's something gross about your energy just now when you said that. What was that about?
I was feeling like, well, we're much better than those people because we don't do that. And those are bad people. And we must be good people.
So when you look at the reality that our public parks are heavily pesticided, even when they purport to be left natural, that is disgusting. But when we look at what we ourselves are doing, it's actually no different. And when I say we ourselves, what I'm doing is relating to the soul presences. We feel like we're Green Berets from another dimension that had this assignment. It was a counter-terrorism assignment. And so somehow the vibrations that are coming out of this swamp or whatever it is in the next larger level up seem to be vibrations of terrorism, or they're being labeled as terrorism.
That's true.
And I can understand that if you're trying to protect the status quo, anything that is trying to disrupt the status quo could be labeled terrorism. I do see that. But then we get here and we discover that these presences are serving God and my country.
That's true.
More accurately, more precisely than we were. And so we say, all right, well, serving God and my country seems to include accurately defining what does my country include. Definitely includes the subatomic aspects of my country. And what does God mean? And the definitions here are so precise. I hadn't thought about what it meant that precisely. And the definition here is a consistent source of significantly higher vibrations. That's really hard to argue with as a definition of divinity.
That's true.
And that's what the assignment is. And that's what we find excruciatingly difficult, is to get our focus up to a consistent source of significantly higher vibrations. It's hard. These channels are weak and lazy. They're weak. And it's hard to get them to stay up for longer than about a second. So we get to the end of the day and all we've done is pick our channels up off the floor over and over again. But that's how it is when we're flabby and we join a gym. At first, we can do almost nothing, but after a while, we're able to lift weights. The moment I take my hands down, my channels come down. They don't stay up. Like, watch what happens.
That's true.
Whew, and see, there they go down again. Now watch it again. I'm trying to hold them up. I'm really
That's true.
trying. And what's happening?
They flop right down.
They flop right down. They just floof.
Flump, and then I pull them back up.
What now? In order to live these soul plans right here, these soul plans right here. Well, what do I know? It's harder to avoid looking at something than it is to look at something else. So rather than trying to avoid looking at our old friends, let's find something to look at directly above us. Let's bifurcate all those who really want to know what's actually going on to the Search for Truth central axis. All others flung away, and now let's reach up for the highest concentration of truth and integrity that we can connect with right now. I feel a hand.
I feel a hand.
Taking my hand and to wave our learner's permit, which is like our soul plan, and say, are you willing to draw our channels up through you, not to you, and hand them on up to those who are even higher concentrations of truth and integrity, and to include your channels in that package and ask that presence to take all of the combined channels and continue to pass them up the reporting chain as high up as we can go. And now for us to turn around and help someone and also draw up the channels of the smaller subatomic levels through us, not to us, and try to stretch them through us up to this hand that's reaching down. I don't feel like the hand can get the smaller subatomic channels. I must be doing something wrong.
I must not be stretching right. I feel that same way.
Maybe that hand just can't reach there, and that's how it is, and it's for us to do, to draw the smaller subatomic channels through us, not to us, and add our own channels to the mix, aiming them all up to that concentration, highest concentration of truth and integrity that we can connect with right now, and ask them to do the same, adding their own channels to the outside, kind of like a telescope that telescopes into itself.
That's true.
Add their channels to the outside and pass up the package to the next level up, highest concentration of truth and integrity that they can connect with right now, and ask that presence to add their own channels to the exterior of the package, so to speak, and pass the package up, and so on and so on. And ask what now, waving the soul plans, what now in order to live these soul plans right here. I see this little bay tree is not in a good place. We should snip it.
That's true.
That's the truth of it. It's like you're not in a good place, friend. It's the wrong place to grow. There's already 4 trees trying to make a go there, and the oak also. Well, that's a bay, but that's an oak.
That's true.
It's like they're friends. Can you see? What this is not looking at the needs of the greater good. This is not what the situation calls for. What are you doing?
True.
That pine tree doesn't mind sharing to a
certain degree,
but
true.
This is excessive.
It's true.
They aren't better than humans. They just have less capacity to destroy things.
That's true.
They're every bit as selfish as humans, unfortunately.